Hey guys, it's Nate here. Hey, so what do you do when a seller, you work really, really hard? This is the situation that just happened to me. I've worked hard for like the last month, maybe a little bit longer, on this contract with a seller. I spent money in marketing, all that kind of stuff. I finally got a seller, signed a contract. I've gone back and forth, did most of the stuff that the seller wanted. And now at the 11th hour, the seller got another offer from another buyer, and they decided to sign the contract with another buyer. They're trying to basically go around all the negotiations that we did. So we worked hard together to get a contract, and here is where it leads me. And this is a lesson that I want to teach everyone. Right now I'm at the county courthouse. This is the Sarasota County Courthouse. And hey guys, is that Clint I see? So I'm at the Sarasota County Courthouse, and I'm gonna file something here. It's not something that I like to have to do, but this is something that's necessary to protect your contract. So the situation is that we worked hard with the seller to get everything squared up, did everything that the seller wanted with the exception of one term, but we gave them 7 out of 8 terms. And now the seller got another offer from somebody else, and they decided to go and sign the other contract. So they've got my contract signed, which is right here. I got a bona fide purchase or signed seller contract in mine. I've even got an addendum on this that's got everything on it. But what is it worth if the seller decides that they don't want to come to closing? If they don't want to come to closing because they got an offer from somebody else, most of the time this is at the point where people think, oh goodness, like I'm just going to give up. I'm going to let it go. But I want to teach you a strategy where you don't have to give up. And this is called a lis pendens, is what I'm about to teach you. This is not something that every real estate investor does or even knows about, but what it is this. I'm gonna walk into the county recorder's office right behind me inside the courthouse, and I'm gonna file a copy of my purchase agreement. Okay, I've got an affidavit attached to it and the lis pendens. It depends on the state that you're in, but some states, oh John, you've been there, I know, because you and I were talking about that before. So some states, they don't allow you to do a lis pendens unless you actually have a lawsuit filed, which, let's face it, filing a lawsuit is super expensive to hire an attorney and all that kind of stuff. It's just going to consume a lot of cash. Unless the deal were like really, really worth it, I don't personally go after filing lawsuits. But will I file a lis pendens? Yes, if the state allows it. Now, some states, they don't allow you to do a lis pendens unless you have a lawsuit filed. So you've got to check with your state status and all that kind of stuff, and check with an attorney before you do it. But most states, they'll allow you to do a lis pendens. And what it is it's really simple. It's a little 1, maybe 2-page document that your attorney can write that simply says, hey, I've got an active purchase agreement, which is this, on this property, and I'm going to file it on record with the county recorder's office. Now, what it does is this is the important part, not as much the contract itself, but what it does is this. When the seller goes to sell it to somebody else, what's going to happen is that there's going to be a cloud on title. It's going to pop up and show that you've got an active purchase agreement with them. So then the title company is going to look at them and say, well, it's kind of like, almost like having a lien. It's not exactly the same as a lien, but it's very similar. They've got to resolve it with you first. So they're going to have to call you, and they're going to have to get it resolved. And again, this is not something that I enjoy doing. This isn't the bright side of real estate, the glamorous side, like sitting back and hanging out with your kids and all that kind of stuff. But this is a part of real estate that you've got to be able to protect your interests. If you work really, really hard to get a deal made, and then all of a sudden that deal gets pulled out from under you at the last second, it's expensive for you and it's painful. Number 2, I had this deal, I worked on it for at least 5 weeks, had everything teed up, had a buyer in line. My buyer is pretty upset right now because my buyer was counting on this deal. And so now I'm to the point where I had to level with the buyer and say, hey, look, this is where I'm at, and I'm going to go down and do this at the county recorder's office. So here I am, and I wanted to show you this. I wanted to show you this so that you know what to do. No one showed me how to do this. I had to do trial and error for a long time, and I let a lot of really good deals go because I didn't know the steps. So I hope that it serves you. I hope that you can use this. So the steps work like this. You've got to have your purchase agreement, naturally, which is just your contract that you've got signed with the seller. And then you've got to have either the lis pendens paperwork, or in some states, you might be able to get away with just a simple affidavit. If you've got any addendums or anything like that, you include them. I'm including everything. So when I file this, everything will pop up. I mean, literally, we were negotiating on this all the way up until just 2 weeks ago. So this is going to be a pretty black and white filing that goes into the county recorder's office, that when the title company pulls up this property, they're going to see really quick, like, yes, there's a legitimate purchase agreement on this piece of real estate. So that's my job for today, my big one, to protect my interest, to protect what I've already worked really, really hard for. So I hope you don't have to do this. I really don't, because it's a pain in the butt, and it's not that hard. I mean, literally, I'm walking in there to do this. The pain in the butt part is that we had a deal structured with the seller, and then the seller decided, probably in the interest of greed, they probably got a little bit greedy. Maybe they got offered a couple $1,000 more by somebody else, and that now they've moved on to somebody else. John's saying that he's filed an affidavit before and he still lost the deal. I'd love to hear that tale sometimes, John. But this will at least make them stop and think, or at least stop and call us when title's pulled next. And that's really what I want to do. I think that the seller on this one, deep down, they're reasonable. They just probably got a little bit greedy because somebody else came along and offered them a little bit more at the 11th hour. So I'm gonna go in and file my interest now. So if you've got questions on this process, or if you need a little help or anything like that, then just drop them in the comments below. I'll be back online a little bit later and I can help with it if you guys want help. But right now, I'm going to step inside and do my job here at the county recorder's office. All right, thanks guys. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.